Carolina Panthers, Atlanta Falcons. This game was kind of close. And the final score 38-20 for the Atlanta Falcons. It doesn't look that way when it was all said and done, but it was close going into the fourth quarter. It was a one-quarter game. People forget that. Not here, though. Atlanta Falcons, let's give them a shout-out for their top 5 graded players. Linebacker Nate Landman with a 94.3 at the very top of the list. Cornerback Clark Phillips with a 93.0 as well. Back-to-back guards and Chris Lyncherman an 89.0, and then Matthew Bergeron with an 82.4, and then running back Tyler Algier with an 82.2. Kirk Cousins in this one, 68.7. Then when he flipped sides to Carolina, guard Damian Lewis was the top graded player at an 80.4. Edge rusher Charles Harris, 78.0. Guard Robert Hunt with a 77.9. Center Brady Christensen with a 76.0. Cornerback J.C. Horn there at a 72.3. And then Andy Dalton, just a 59.2 grade. What was the stat that told the story here, Dalton?
The Falcons just ran the living hell out of the ball. It was their best day by far running the football. 198 rushing yards as a team. Season highs in rush yards, EPA per rush, missed tackles forced. They ran the ball on 38 out of their 68 plays, and I'm just going to wrap in the most impressive with it. Tyler Algier gets a bigger role the last couple weeks, taking advantage of it. And Bijan Robinson had a good day, too. I think he had 95 yards somewhere in there, but 18 carries for Algier for 105 yards, 9 forced missed tackles. It's angry. This was the game that, to me, looked a little more like, okay, we're really back to we run outside zone. We don't care that you know it's coming. And Tyler Algier is going to beat you over the head.
Hell yeah.
Right? And it's funny to me.
Hell yeah.
We talked before about, with Emmanuel Forbes, a regime that is not tied to a certain player they drafted. That is the case here as well with Atlanta and Bijan Robinson. And Bijan played a big role, all right? He had 14 or 15 carries for like 95 yards.
You say Bijan's on the trade block?
No, not at all.
Are you saying Bijan's on the trade block?
I'm just saying.
Are you Dalton Wasserman saying that Bijan Robinson of the Atlanta Falcons is on the trade block?
Absolutely not. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay, hang on here. Slow down. All I'm saying is it's not like the old regime, although the old regime didn't do this either, where, okay, we took him 8th overall and he's got to get 35 touches because that's where we took him, right? If 50-50's working or 60-40 Algier is working, I think Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot are in the business of winning ball games, right? Not pleasing draft status and doing all that, right? And again, Robinson had a good day. I'm not saying at all that he didn't have a good day. He did. He had 95 yards, but Algier right now, he's always been a great zone runner, like when he was at BYU. The old system is actually, in the run game, not that different from this new system. They still lead the league in outside zone rate. I think maybe even at a greater differential than they did last year. They're trying to find a spark in this run game because they know their first 3 wins, they just won because Kirk Cousins willed them to wins. He should be in the MVP conversation right now because without Kirk Cousins, maybe they win this game, maybe not, but they would have started 0-5. They know they need to get this run game going if they want to win this division, if they want to get somewhere in the playoffs, even with Kirk Cousins in tow. Algier has been a spark plug for him. And you know what? If that's the case and it's a committee thing, I don't care about draft status, that one's the 8th overall pick and one's 5th round pick, doesn't matter. Again, Raheem Morris, he's in the business of winning ball games. And if that means using both backs, using them, and if that means riding the hot hand, then so be it. I know fantasy owners are going to hate it and they're going to hate this rant, but that's also not my problem. I don't have Bijan on my team. So I had him last year, though, but won a trophy with him. This year,
if you do say so yourself,
I knew this was coming. Yeah, Algier's giving him a spark. This was their best day running the ball. Props to him for getting back to basics. Carolina's defense is usually a fix for some things right now anyway.
Yeah, Tyler Algier was RB12 in the 2022 class, and he never should have been. I had him as RB3 that year, right behind only Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall, and it's because of this. Because his play style was never going to go away.
When Zach Wilson was still at BYU with him,
yes,
Algier was, and Wilson was great when he was at BYU, but Algier was actually the engine of that offense because they could get 6-7 yards anytime they wanted.
Right. And they could run play action very, very well because Tyler Algier is not only a really good running back, he's the type of running back that if you don't bring your friends to tackle him, he will stiff arm you into oblivion. And so Tyler Algier is the true definition of when you run the ball, it affects the defense. This is not just like sometimes obviously having multiple guys in the box and being able to rally to the ball is obviously very important. But like if you have a team that you're running outside zone and it's mainly like a speed element thing, like sometimes loading the box doesn't really matter. Sometimes you just got to have the safeties. They got to pay more attention. They got to come down a little bit more. With Tyler Algier, it is you better load the box, because I'm not going down after first contact. And that is a defense-altering type of run style. And we saw that at BYU, and we're seeing it with the Atlanta Falcons, where when you put Tyler Algier on the field, the other team has to allocate heavier players there because you cannot tackle him. He is a little bit of a change the math type of a player, and that's why I loved him coming out of the draft. I thought it was crazy that he was a 5th rounder because he already showed us that at BYU. I didn't know if he was going to exactly be the player at BYU that he was going to be at the NFL level. I didn't know if he would get that opportunity. But very clearly, every time it feels like they give him a decent amount of carries, he rewards them for this reason. So I agree with you. Falcons are the most Falcons offensive line also most impressive for me. Lidstrom, 89.0. Bergeron, 82.4. McGarry, 80.5. Nazul, 78.7. Jake Matthews, lowest graded offensive lineman on the team at a 72.2. If Jake Matthews is your lowest graded offensive lineman in a week and he's got a 72.2, you are living. You are absolutely living. So the Falcons offensive line was really nice in this game. They were my most impressive. But now we do have to get to a little bit of most disappointing. And my most disappointing is the fact that the Panthers were hanging tough in this one. They were right there. We were going into the fourth quarter. It was an 8-point game. It was 28-20. Now, I didn't know if they were going to win this game, but obviously the game ended 38-20. That's a big difference. You're not able to do much at all in the fourth quarter on offense, but more importantly, your defense couldn't stop anybody. And when you look at the Panthers' defense, these were their PFF defensive grades by quarter. First quarter, 70.7. Second quarter, 53.1. Third quarter, 56.1. Fourth quarter, 31.4. I mean, they fell off that cliff in the fourth quarter. And then when you look at my most disappointing goes into their run defense as a team, 34.9 run defense grade. Average depth of tackle was 6.23 yards. That ain't going to cut it. Every time they're running the ball, you're not tackling them until they're at least 6 yards down the field. That's a terrible average, and you're really never going to win football games whenever that is the case. So for Carolina, the disappointing thing at this point is Andy Dalton is actually giving you a spark on offense. He's making them competitive every single week. They just don't really have the defense to be able to play 4 quarters. They played 3 in this one. They played 3 solid quarters, gave them a chance. It wasn't great. It wasn't a fantastic defensive performance, but they fell off a cliff in that fourth quarter. And that's what kind of is really disappointing about this Panthers team is how that defense can fall off a cliff. And that's an issue with the quarterback.
And they... First of all, I think there was a part of that fourth quarter too. You're getting beat like that all day. You're running out of gas, right? And two, I think we just point out again, this is a defense without Derek Brown. And if there's any game going against Chris Lindstrom and this offensive line that you needed Derek Brown, it's this one without question.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. That's just where it's at. Is the Falcons? They just kept pressing the button and it kept working. And I think. I know it's Carolina, and I know not every run defense is Carolina, but I think this is really a good step for Atlanta and where they want to go offensively.
Most disappointing for you real quick?
I'm going to stay on the Falcons side just because we know what Carolina is. We'll be talking about them all year still. The Falcons are still not getting a pass rush going, and for me, it's Matt Judon. Look, they gave up a third-round pick for him. He's only got 11 pressures this year. He had a 37.8 overall grade in this game, 1 cleanup pressure in 30 reps. And the Falcons as a team, look, he was supposed to jolt the pass rush and everything. Falcons as a team through 6 games have 5 sacks. I think it's still going to come to a head at some point that, look, when you're playing better teams than Carolina, you have to be able to rush the passer. And Carolina's actually been pretty good in pass protection, right? But you have to find it. You have to find some sort of pass rush. I don't know if they'll start blitzing more or what, but Matt Judon was brought in to be that guy that catalyzes that, and it really just hasn't happened.
Yeah. I'm looking at the chat, and they're talking about edge rushers. Sorry.
Do the Falcons need another one?
Well, no, they're talking about the Panthers that need an edge rusher. I guess they could be talking about the Falcons that need an edge rusher, too. I don't know if the Falcons are going to make any sort of deal because they made a deal for Matthew Judon, and it would be pointless for the Carolina Panthers to make a deal because they're just not that type of team. They're not going to be buyers at the deadline at all whatsoever. I also see people in the chat talking about the Detroit Lions when we brought up, hey, who could be an option for them? People were talking about Hassan Reddick, right? Hassan Reddick, he's with the Jets, but he's, it's a situation with the Jets. He's not even on the field right now. He fires his agent. Now he hires Drew Rosenhaus. Rosenhaus says he's going to get in there. They're going to figure it out. They're going to get him on the field. I don't know if what Reddick has been – obviously there's a lot behind the scenes that I don't know. But like the whole Reddick saga, I don't think that Brad Holmes and Danny Campbell are going to be very interested. with what's going on right now with Son Reddick. So.
You know, there's one that I wonder, and I want to look at something for this week. Where is he? On the kind of the other side of that, because he hasn't been playing a whole lot and not doing a whole lot for Philadelphia. But what about Bryce Huff?
Bryce Huff. Yeah.
It's a little I don't know how the contract stuff works with that.
Yeah, but I don't think Philly's at a point where they could trade anybody anyways.
But he's not doing a whole lot for them.
I know,
it seems that for some reason
that he does.
For some reason that fit is just not working, and they have plenty of pass rushers.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if Nolan Smith is going to start playing better. Maybe Bryce Huff, maybe. That's the thing. We've seen it in the past.